The Seder, Rabbi Sai, we're holding Menachos of Lamadalf, go a little bit back, and just stand the sukkah. The Gemara is trying to figure out when he said that halacha is like a Yeshiva Shazuri. Chol Mokom is like a Yeshiva Shazuri. What is the place where he was saying this is halacha like Yeshiva Shazuri? So the Gemara says we are going to start 7 lines or 8 lines to the bottom of Daf Lamed Lubes. Elaha. Basically, keep all you remember Yeshiva Shazuri. Poila Mitzri Shazora Lazera. If a person took this vegetable, Kapola Mitzri, and he planted it for the purpose of zera. Why is it important to say zora zera? Because if you zower it for vegetable purposes, so then you always go basa lakito. So the din is legabe maisris. What determines what is the maisa? What year is the maisa? Every year the maisas change. So year 1, 2 in Shemitah, you have to do maisa sheni. Year 4 and 5. Year 3 and 6, you do maisa on. How do I know which year of Meiser it is? So if it's a vegetable, you go based on Lakita. Lakita means when you harvest it from the ground. But if you did Lazera for the purpose of the seed, so then you don't go based on the time of Lakita, you go based on the time. This one for a vegetable, wants to use it to plant it, or the usage of a seed, like I do a dye. So then you go based on the time of a Hashrosh. Hashrosh means the time when it's when it spreads, it says roots. So now you have Pola Mit Shazor Lazera, Miktsasa Ishish the Rosh Hashanah, and Miktsasa Achar Rosh Hashanah. Some of it had roots, started growing roots before Rosh Hashanah, so it belongs to the previous year. Some after Rosh Hashanah belongs to the next year. So what do? Ain't Torah Mizal, I can't do truma for one another because each one is a different year. Tishrei Torah Menachos LeMenachodesh LaYashon LeMenayosh LaChodesh. So not only because the mice is different, even the things that are the same, I don't do from one year to another. Ketayas, what do? So if you're a goner l'soichoy, you pile up the entire goyim, which means you take the entire seeds that were growing that field that year. Which means when I pile everything up, I say, you know what? The truma that I'm taking, I can assume it's proportionally taking care of whatever I have. So I don't know exactly how much is from the last year, I'm sure this year. But because truma midiraisa is even a small amount, enough for the whole thing. So I take something from the middle, and I say, okay, proportionally, it's, let's say, even though maybe it was 60% this, 4%, I'm assuming that's it to correct. Okay, so that's, I take care of that mixture, and that's what Rav Shimon Shazuri said. Says the Gemara, similar question we had before. We already had someone sound like Yeshiva Shazuri. So you should say that, just add it to the list. I'm also arguing, there's one place where one man that says, like Yeshiva Shazuri, Mashvi is the only one speaking about it. So it can't be that case. So try to find another case that we're talking about. Hello, my Papa Shido. Papa says we're talking about Shido, and Rav Menachos says we're talking about Yain. That's what we spoke about Yeshiva Shazuri. That's a maskar in the Gemara. What is it? Papa Amar, we daf Hashido, the nan Hashido. Shido is a chest. So b'chamo nimdedes mi bifnim ubisilo mi b'chutz. How do you measure the kli? What's the kamina? When you have a kli which is very big, certain size, it doesn't get tumor. Because it's not considered to be a vessel anymore. It's considered to be a stationary item. So what is it? What's the size? It has to be our boim sel belach. If you have something that contains a certain amount of liquid, so it's not mikabel tumor anymore. How do you measure that? So, Richame says you measure the inside, whatever it contains inside. That's the measurement. The fact that you have walls and you have other items around the kli, I don't measure that. So you measure the whole thing. Because I'm not looking at the kli, what it can contain. I'm looking at the size of the kli. So if it has walls, that goes also part of the cheshbon. You don't measure the legs. You don't measure the edges, the border of the kli. You just measure the kli itself. You do measure the legs. You do measure No, according to Bisi, you don't measure the inside, you measure also the walls. So you see, according to Mishnah, it doesn't go what it contains. Mishnah goes nice or whatever the kli is. I take the size of the kli. So now the shaila is, do you measure the legs or not? So you say that's a discussion here. You measure or not. Now, I don't measure between the legs. If I have legs, I measure only the leg itself. If the legs are very tall, in more than 1 tefah from the ground, I'm not going to measure the airspace in between. But now you do measure it, because if it's so low, so you don't consider it to be air. You don't consider it to be too high. So that's one Yeshiva Shazuri. How do you measure a chest for tumah? Oil has a din of a liquid. That Rabbanan said it has a din of a higher level of tumah, because the high level of tumah becomes rishon l'tumah, regardless what touched it. There he spoke about oil. Even honey. Even wine. You want to tell me Tarakama did not agree to wine? But wine is something everybody agrees to. Meaning, only wine has the liquid, and the Tosis goes on to explain over here that we're talking about congealed. If it's not congealed, everybody agrees it's a liquid. Talking about wine or oil that got congealed, does it have a thing of liquid or not? That's a machlekes, and that's what we pass it. So that's a maskana of the sugi. The Gemara said, this mandama said, you should know halachas like Yeshiva Shazuri here, not only here, everywhere else as well. What is here referring to? So the Gemara has two options: either the chest, and we spoke about it, or the wine. That's the end of the sugi. So that's where we're supposed to be this. Continue the Gemara now. Today's daf. Tanya, continue Yeshiva Shazuri now. One time I had tevel, which is what's a tevel? Tevel is fruits that were not fixed. He didn't take a true. And they got mixed up with chuli. Ubasi v'shalti Rav Tarfon. Went to Rav Tarfon and asked him, what should I do? Go take from the market and you do mice. Well, what's going on? Oh, so we're talking about, not talking about a regular tevel. Here's an important thing. And again, a little bit what we spoke yesterday in this day's daf. Tevel, we talk about it here, is a tevel of Dmai. What's Dmai? Dmai is when you have in Amoritz, Rabbanan said that Amoritz, someone who did not agree to accept the Dinei Chaver. Chaver is the way that the Chachamim paskin. He was Amoritz. Amoritz in the time of Chazal, we were choishish. We had a fear. We weren't sure if they're doing their meiser or not. They're taking out meiser from the food. So Rabbanan said, you know what? Anytime you take it from Amoritz, even though he said I did it, even though he did the meiser, he said the meiser, you have to do it again, and that's called Dmai. Dmai is the Rishami says it's Domi High. I'm not sure. It's either maybe yes or maybe not. It's not for sure true. Uncertain. So now you have Dmai that got mixed up with Chuli. So if you have only the Dmai, I just take out the meiser from the Dmai and I'm good to go. But now I have a mixture in Chulin, which means Chulin that was fixed. So maybe I'm taking the fruit, which is the Chulin part, not the Dmai part. So how do I fix it? So if I go and take a regular tevel, we have a rule in Kavi Trush that if I have fruits, let's say I have 3 pounds of fruit over here, I have another 3 pounds of fruit over there. I can make Trush from there on this one as well. I don't have to take from these fruits. I can take it from any other fruits in order to be yoytza. And that is a din of a mukaf. If I want to be close to each other, you can do it even far away. So here, this is denied. This is only a suffix. It's a doubt. Maybe it's a problem. Maybe it's not a problem. The fruits that I'm going to take from there, which are vadai. Vadai and a suffix I can't do because maybe this is fixed. So I can't do truma from something which is not fixed, something which is fixed. I didn't fix anything. But maybe it is not fixed. So what do? So I have to find another pile of fruits which are suffix. And the same level of suffix.
So why can't you just do it with the Vade Takana Ezra thingy?
Because a Vade always needs to fix something. Sure needs to fix something.
You're saying that if it is, then it's going to do
and
it.
If not, then it's not. No, so what do you do? So what do you do with these fruits? They're not truma.
No, then you still take every single fruit you do.
No, you can't take. That fruit that you took, what is it?
If you have a pile that has the Demai and the Vadai, then you have a pile that needs to be taken.
Vadai. No, but here.
It needs to be taken out.
No, but if you have to take it out. So
You have to make
I take out the truma, and I say this truma. I think truma is one out of 60, or 1 out of 50. Taking the truma out of there, I said this is the 1 out of 50 of what? Of the first pile or the second pile?
No, so I may say I'm taking it out of this pile. Now, if this pile was great,
So I take more.
Not.
No, I take more then. I'm
not
missing.
taking from here.
I know, but I need to do it in this one.
No, but I think you don't have to. If you do, it
You
with
do.
This pile.
No, this pile I do have to do proportional. No, you can take the amount. Let's say you have to take 2% of truma. Truma is 2%. Mice is actually more accurate because to my problem is a mice and not a truma. Let's say 10%. Supposedly 10% of the fruits. So if I have pile number 1 has 10 fruits, how many fruits I take for that one? 1. I have another friend 10 fruits. I can take for that for the second pile two apples instead of 1, and do 2, 1 for this pile and for that pile. But if that's a vada and the other one is a suffix, so the second fruit, no vada meaning that's for sure not taken. Tevel vada, and the other one is only a dmai. I can't take from a vada and the dmai because we manashach. If the second fruit is a vada, so it needs to. Is it a truma or a tevel? Right? I can't make it. Let's take truma down. So meiser is only 10%. So 1 is 10% of the first one. What is the second one? If not, the other one is
You
something.
say that it's just a matana.
No, matana doesn't work.
That's
That-
not.
that's
if
good.
it is great.
No,
If
it doesn't
not,
work.
not.
So it doesn't work. You
You
can't give. You can't. Yeah, meiser has to be exactly the way. You can't be. There's no tanoim in meisers in that way. You could do a meiser on the pile itself because that pile maybe is fixed, so then I know how to do it. But if you're choishes, maybe you do have to do it. So then I have to fix it one way or another. So what do we do? So I have to find another pile similar to this one. Another pile which is a suffix. What should I do? So he says in Tarfon, formerly lech kach lecho min hashuk. Go buy in the market fruits. Right? So and do a meiser. What does that help? Explain to Gemara. Kasava deraiso beruba, but really midoraiso the pile is not chayav in meiser. Why? Because let me just add one more thing to the problem. I have over here chulin, which is fruits, and dmai mixed together. So I don't have even a vadai dmai. I have here a mixture of dmai. So I need to tell you which is a mixture of dmai. So here I fix the problem. Why? Because the dmai mixed into chulin really is butter. Bitul baroiv. Bitul baroiv means when I have a mixture of more items and less items, the less items, the minority is going to be butter, is going to be mixed and canceled in the roiv. So the fruits are butter. So I really don't have any problem with my over here. In addition, also when you take the mai in the market, really, I know they do meiser. The majority of Amaratzim do make meiser. So really, it's a chumrah and a chumrah. So I have 2 piles which are chumrah derabbanan. One, it's really batal b'roiv, and the other one, which is only a derabbanan, but it's not a real suffix. It's only it's a really batal b'roiv because roiv amarotz they do take on meiser. So it's a bitul b'roiv and a bitul b'roiv. So really, the fruits have the same din. That's what Tarfon said.
The fruits have what?
The fruits are basically nothing is chayav. Really, mi'ikar din, they're not chayav and meiser both piles. One because I have roiv asrim, and the other one because I have roiv of that it got mixed up. So really, it's considered to be 2 piles which are potter. That's how I fix the problem. So why didn't you say take from a goy? As the one was explaining in a moment. Kasova and king of kechom beit sol of kim meiser. The goy cannot exempt fruits from meiser. So it's chayav meiser. Take from a goy doesn't help me because the goy is still chayav meiser. If it's fruit that grew in Eretz Yisrael, you're still chayav meiser. So because you still chayav meiser, it doesn't help. So we have a chiyuv. It doesn't work for a goy. Ikadami, some say the opposite. Why? Kasovar yeshkinav kechovim Eretz Yisrael lafkia min meiser. The meiser. Mi'ikar midoraiso, a goy that has owns fruits in Eretz Yisrael is not chayav meiser, but it's a chumrah derabbanan. They has to do it. So similar idea. Because it got mixed up, it's batal b'roiv, and the goy is only a din derabbanan. So it's really both of them not really chayav. So that's why one pile works another. For the name of the kach min hashuk, why didn't it say take from the market, meaning from Amaretz? like the first Kedami. Kasova ain't roy b'ma'aretz master. He holds we don't say roy master. It's a real suffix. It's a real doubt. Meaning, I'm trying to find a solution to this pile, to say this pile, which is really not chayav meiser, but it's a chumrah. So I want to find another pile of a chumrah. What's the other pile of a chumrah? It's a two ikedamis. Either you take from Amaretz, which is a chumrah, because really Amaretz, I assume they do my spicy. It's a chumrah alma. Or I'm taking from the goy, because the goy is not chayav. Two ikedamis. The first ikadami holds the goy is chayav, so it's not a chumrah. And the second ikadami holds that Amaretz is not a chumrah. It's a real suffix. Yeah, I'm assuming that's a machlokes of buying robe throughout chas. Do I assume that Amaretz does do meiser because we don't know, it's a 50-50? Or we say no, probably they didn't, but it's a chumrah b'al. So that's the two ways to understand. Let's say that. Ending with that Yeshiva Shazuri. That was just another additional Yeshiva Shazuri that we mentioned, by the way, as we mentioned all the other list of Yeshiva Shazuri. The fact that we said the line we said in the previous daf. And we said that everywhere we say halakha k'shuv shazori, isn't also isn't also the last case that we just learned? Do we say halakha lakim over there as well? In other words, do we say it? I don't know. Because maybe he said it as a story, so it wasn't his own halacha. He said that he has some time for it. Yeah, also that. So had a problem. Pshito. That's your question. Why not? Why are we not possible to Shuvah Zuri? Down for the base. Mikya Omar b'mishtaseinu. Did he say only in the Mishnah? He said every time. So, yeah, what's the chiddush? Basically, that's your question. What's the chiddush that we pass with Shuvah Shazuri? You already said that Shuvah Shazuri is always. The same. Sorry, that was that. Omar Zeiro, Omar Chanano, going back to halachas of Ketiva Svar. So Omar Rav Kera Habo B'Shnei Shitin Yitfer B'Sholosh Al Yitfer. If you have a gillion, you have the page, the scroll of Sefer Torah that has a tear in it. If the tear is the size, if it goes between two lines, you can sew it together. But if it's three, which is a much longer tear, then you don't sew back, you throw it away. Big machlokes in the Rishonim, can you glue it? It's a three-way machlokes. Is glue and sewing the same thing? Some hold exactly the same. Whatever I have regarding sewing together, also regarding gluing together. Some say no, glue is much better. Because glue you don't see it so clearly, so now you can do even more. And some say glue is worse. So three sheets let me show you. Yes, three sheets let me show you.
Just a question, what do we use for sewing? What do they use? Like which material?
Sinews.
Yeah, I think the sinews are the main one. It's like a gidim. The way you sew together the two parchments. So you also do it in the middle. I think so. I think it was, yeah. It's only when we talk about an old parchment. But if it's a new one, so then it's fine. Explain to Gemara, lo tikto mamish, lo ichadet mamish, had lo afitzon, had afitzon. What is a fitzon? Fitzon is there's a certain type of liquid they used to put on the parchments to make it to smooth it out, and what it did also that you can't erase it. A fitzon is that liquid. Make sure that you can use it not only for the Torah, use it for many documents as well. You can't forge it because you can't erase it. So if you did, Rashi learns, we're talking about if you did this liquid, it makes it black, and then it's like old, and it's old, you should not, when you tear it, the tear is very clear. But if it's new, meaning you didn't put that fitzon, you could glue or sew together even more than 3 lines. There's another big machlokes here in the Rishonim. What is are we talking about here when it's new? In other words, do we say in a new parchment, it's only as long as you didn't do a fitzon, you didn't do this liquid. But if you did the liquid, then you can't do it. But old one doesn't matter. or even an old one, as long as you didn't do a feast, it should be fine. Okay. Meaning you can sew it together with the gidim, which is what the sinews, as you mentioned, but not with guiding, which is thread. You have to use the sinews, really what you guys mentioned. What happens if it tears not between the lines, but between one page and another page, between one page to another page, or bin shita l'shita, there was a tear between the lines, not from one line to another, but in between there's a tear. Also you have the limitation of 2 not 3, 3 not 2. It's going to take. There's a tear that went from one line to another on the
words are split?
even if it's between the words. But
in between the vertically.
No, that's the next question. That's going to be down for that.
Vertically 2 lines.
What?
Vertically 2 lines.
Right, look at Rashi calls it vertically 2 lines. Rashi says b'soich heksav. Rashi b'soich heksav. B'shteishi b'soich heksav. I don't know if the ksav itself was tear, because if you put it together, or it means it's between the letters. It's going from one line to another. The question of the word now is in between the lines. I had a tear. Yeah. Right.
What do you think?
And Shaila is when you put it back, how do you fix the letter? Is it will be a chasser or the letter itself comes back somehow? I'm not sure.
They just said that it was asking what happened with the new stuff. So the whole process of the written is saying in order, I'm going to start the order. Why say that it was one cloth? It's as if we swap out the cloth,
right.
Put it in the
So that's not a problem doing over. Yeah, it's not a problem. You do it. It's then when you tie it together, it has to be in order. Yeah.
Rashi says go to the writing itself.
You don't have, when you write it, you don't have to write it as a.
I don't think so. I think they have to, but they do it now in order. They do it like based on convenience or whatever. Yeah.
No, that's partial or whatever. But Sukkim also.
No, but say if you're taking out the whole parchment, so you can do something else.
No, let's just stop it. That
That I don't know. Same column,
Right,
not
we're
sure.
talking about like from one column is at the bottom of the column. Let's say it says Vayomer Moshe, and then it continues on the next column.
And you're taking out. I think you can do that in order. I think so. It's only when you sew it together that's what has to be in order. Like then you put it together. I think. I have to check. Meaning he did 2 words per line. So mezuzah is a much shorter parchment. He did two. Let's say he did 2 words one above each other.
We did
That we did before cemetery. Never think about mezuzah. He bailu shtayim v'shosh v'achas ma. What happens? He did 2 words, 3 words, 1 word. So it's like 2, 3, 1, going different sides. It's beautiful. It looks like a shira. Right? If anybody looks at shira sayam, it's done. It's called ariach l'gaber leveno. So you have few words, little words. It's like going in. It looks nice. Meisivei asok a shira. If you did it like a shira, or shira kavoiso, you did shira like a regular writing. Psula. So the word kitanya even sevetayim. A sevetayim you have to a certain way to write it. But in mezuzah, you want to write it differently. It's okay. Even now, mezuzah so shtayim b'shosh v'achas, 2 words, 3 words, 1 word. Sheir. Ubilvad shelo yaseno kekuba. What does it mean kekuba? Kuba means 1 word, 2 words, 3 words. It looks like a tent. The shidduch kovetz on the side shows you how it looks like. The second shidduch kovetz is v'hoyu hadvarim ha'ele shanuchim etzavcha. It looks like a tent. That's not right. Ubilvad shelo yaseno kizonov. Zonov is the opposite. It looks like a tail, meaning it's a triangle going from long to short. Omar Chizdo, ala oretz b'shita achroino. The word ala oretz of the mezuzah. How did the mezuzah end? Which parsha is written in the mezuzah? Shema and V'hoyu. That's only 2 parshas written in the mezuzah. Shema Yisrael and V'hoyim Shemayim. V'hoyim Shemayim ends Kimei Shemayim ala oretz. It says the word ala oretz needs to be the last line. And the last line in the mezuzah, you have only 2 words in that line. Ala oretz. Some say it has to be at the end of the line, meaning you have the beginning of the line empty, and the end of the line you have the words alaretz. Right, you have it also shirkuvetzis, which is ois zayin shirkuvetzis. Which means on the beginning of the line. The word alaretz is beginning of the line or the end of the line. What's the shot? Meaning, we have, if the last line is alaretz, so how do you end the line before? Kimei Hashemayim. The words before Kimei Hashemayim alaretz. So I end the last line Kimei Hashemayim. I'm going to write now alaretz. What should I write alaretz? Either I put it right beneath the words Kimei Hashemayim, which means the end of the line. Why? Because the Shemayim needs to be above the arts. That's what it says. Ki gvoya Shemayim al arts. So I want the words Kimei Hashemayim to be above the words al arts.
Interesting. That you saw not on this.
I want the Shemayim and arts to be far away from each other. The Shemayim is the Kimei Hashemayim is on the end of the line, and the arts is the beginning of the line. Why? Because we talk about, and what's the pasuk speak about? Arichas Yomim. You can have a Arichas Yomim like the days of between Shemayim and Arts. So I want to stretch the days between Shemayim and Arts to have more Arichas Yomim. Look at Rosh Hashanah, this will end today. So that's the word. Shemayim is above the arts. I want to show that the Shemayim is above the arts. When the arts are ready far away, and there's a Gavaldik Chasam Sefer, there's a whole cheshbon. It's not just where the words are, it's also how you measure the sky from the arts. Is it in a direct angle above, or you measure it on an angle? So the question is, how do you cheshbon? Because the Gemara tells us that the different distance between Shemayim and Arts is 500 years. So how do you count the 500 years? It has a whole cheshbon. There's enough kamina. If you do it in a straight line or an angle, you're adding 3.5 years. What's the 3.5 years? Not enough. What does it talk about? Talk about the kid until he turns 3, and then he goes to learn. So he's the first 3 years plus, he's not learning. Then he starts learning Torah. So that 3 years you counted as part of your years of your life or not. That's a cheshbon, whole cheshbon sefer to come explain to us this Gemara. Stop over here. Rabbi say shakayach.
No details.